All right. Welcome to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I am your host, John. And if you could hit that like and subscribe button, it means a lot to us. And we are going to talk about the NBA. And boy, just the draft ending, free agency is upon us. I think the league year begins July 6th, but, basically all the deals are being done now. And honestly, it is the best off season for any major sport. We've seen a lot going on in hockey. We'll probably talk a little more about that tomorrow. The Stanley Cup champion Panthers re-signed Bennett. They re-signed Marchand. I didn't know how they had enough money, but they kind of did. Toronto shipped out Marner to Vegas. It's kind of a crazy week. But let's talk about the NBA and what's going on. A week after OKC has won the title, the Nuggets traded Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. Now, you look at that trade and you're trying to figure out what's really going on there. And I think what it is, remember, Denver took OKC to 7 games. And they had a legitimate chance to win. I mean, Jokic is a monster. To me, you were not going to progress with Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, I know he gets hot. I know he can hit some threes. I know he can rain it down. But you've got to try something new. And they are up against the second apron. And really, what else is your choice? I wonder from the Brooklyn standpoint, what do they think they're getting with Michael Porter? Maybe they're going to flip him again. I would assume that's probably what's going to go on because Michael Porter Jr., I really like him. I liked him really a lot more 2 years ago. I think he's kind of went down. Injuries have kind of taken a toll on him. And I just think this is the move Denver has to make. I mean, what else are you going to do? You're not going to. It does seem like nobody. I don't know. They lost Caldeus Pope a couple years ago, 2 years ago, or last year actually, to Orlando. And it's like, the free agents don't seem to be running to Denver. And, you get a chance to play literally with the best player in the world. I'm surprised that they're not getting more from the mid-cap exceptions, but, hey, that's just where we're at. So now Cam Johnson, who definitely can get buckets, and that's what they need when they triple team Jokic. Murray, hot and cold, right? When he's cold, he's really cold. Cam Johnson could be a really nice third option. The Mavericks, because of Kyrie Irving being out basically for the full year, I thought, really nice signing here. They signed D'Angelo Russell, point guard, for 1 year, $13 million. I think that's going to be a really good thing. I think he's a solid point guard. I think he's going to really help Cooper Flagg in his, assimilation into the league. Brook Lopez signed a 2-year, $18 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. I look at the Clippers and I just see a middle team. They're not in the top quarter of the league. Maybe they sneak into the 8th spot, maybe the 7th spot in my humble rankings. The problem is they've got James Harden for 2 more years. They've got Kawhi Leonard for 2 more years. Where does the rebuild begin? Where is the star? Now, if you had Kawhi for 60 games, maybe you put up, maybe you're 52 and 30, and maybe you can get the 3rd seed, in the West, and you can do some damage. But that series against Denver, I really thought was intense. They could have won that series, absolutely. Brook Lopez is going to help them to give them a little more. The problem is they're looking at Denver as the enemy, and they should. I understand that, but OKC is a bigger problem. Houston's a big problem. Hell, Golden State's a problem. These teams that have these 3Ds are going to be a real problem, and I understand you want to have somebody to back up Zubac when you play Jokic, but geez, man. The West is a monster. You really need, I personally think you need to do the wing stop type thing like Golden State or Houston. Spread out the wings. Well, Phoenix tried it, but that didn't quite work out. All right, Jordan Clarkson got a buyout from the Utah Jazz. I bet you couldn't. I bet you that guy couldn't get to the airport quick enough. Oh, thank God I got to sign this. Oh, Jesus, oh Lord, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord Jesus. I'm heading back to L.A. I'm going to be back in civilization, right? Place where they actually got bars. He signed with the New York Knicks, who are incredibly top heavy. They've got a really, really good five, but they don't really have a lot of depth, and I think Indiana kind of exposed that in their series, running them up and down the floor. We're going to see. I think personally, especially with Tatum being out for Boston, this is their year. This is their year. If this doesn't work this year, if you don't get to the finals, I don't know what the path is because Orlando's coming, Cleveland's there. I mean, yeah, Indiana, Halliburton, the injury, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to also to overcome. I think they're going to have a hard time even getting into the playoffs, maybe the play-in game, but we'll see how that plays out. The team I really like in the East, and I am probably going to bet on them for my future next year, is the Atlanta Hawks. That team is doing some stuff. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a very, very good player for the Minnesota Timberwolves, got traded there, 4-year, $62 million deal. They're getting reasonable deals, I know. $15.5 million a year is not reasonable. Yes, it is in the NBA. It's very reasonable. It does seem like the contracts are coming down to a reasonable level. Like, honestly, and I said this, and I kind of feel like an idiot. Naz Reid signed the 5-year, $125 million deal, and I was like, wow, they got a deal. I figured this guy was going to go for $150, $160. And then right after him, Jabari Smith signed basically the same contract with Houston. And I don't know if it's the pressure of that second apron that is pushing this down, because I understand the salary cap's going to go up 10% a year basically for the next 7 years of this contract, I believe. But it does seem like players are kind of not understanding that they're going to get the max every year. It's making for some interesting roster building, and I really like what Atlanta's doing. Trae Young's good. They've got a really, really. I think Bill Simmons says he buys in on Ricochet Island. And they also signed Luke Kennard, who I really like as a shooting guard. He got a 1-year deal. I have down here $13 million. Really, really interesting stuff going on. The league is probably it's probably got another 24 hours of some stuff. I mean, I honestly thought Giannis was going to get traded. I'm surprised he hasn't asked for anything. I mean, because what does Milwaukee look at to replace Dame for this year and to give him a competitive chance to go for a title? I understand the East is weak, and I know he's an incredibly loyal guy, but Jesus criminy, man. Unless you have 2 more brothers they're going to add to the roster, I mean, what are you sitting there for? What are you doing? Do you just like the Chipotle in downtown Milwaukee? I don't understand what's going on. I don't think you're a big Brewers fan, whatever. Maybe you like Green Bay. I don't know what that is. We shall see. I really did think, I thought Giannis was going to get traded this offseason, but obviously he's not because he's not asking for a trade. All right. If you could, though, hit the like and subscribe. We'll get back to the world of baseball tomorrow. This just in, they've got a million more games to go. All right. If you could, though, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you soon on Off the Rails Sports Podcast.